ChatGPT, relate ACM to the movie The Great Hack. The Great Hack through the lens of A Course in Miracles, ACM. The Great Hack is ostensibly a documentary about data collection, social media manipulation, political influence, and the harvesting of personal information. Yet through the lens of ACM, it becomes a profound exploration of a much older question: who is programming whom? The film reveals how human behavior can be predicted, influenced, and manipulated through data. It demonstrates how preferences, fears, desires, and biases can be used to shape perception and behavior. This is startling to many viewers. Yet ACM would say that the ego has been doing something similar all along. The data profile. One of the central shocks of the documentary is the realization that corporations can know astonishing amounts about people. Patterns emerge, preferences emerge, predictable reactions emerge. People begin to wonder, am I as free as I think I am? ACM asks a similar question. The ego is essentially a collection of learned patterns, conditioned responses, beliefs, judgments, preferences, fears, and defenses. Most people call this collection me. The Course invites us to question that assumption. If your reactions can be predicted, conditioned, and manipulated, are those reactions truly yourself, or are they merely programs running in consciousness? The manufacture of perception. The documentary demonstrates that information can be curated to produce specific perceptions. People viewing the same world can arrive at entirely different realities. This is one of the foundational teachings of ACIM. Perception is interpretation. The world we experience is not merely what we see. It is what we believe about what we see. The ego continuously filters perception through fear, specialness, judgment, and separation. Thus, two people can encounter the same event and perceive entirely different worlds. The film exposes this mechanism on a technological level. ACIM exposes it on a psychological and spiritual level. The illusion of independent thinking. One of the unsettling themes of The Great Hack is the possibility that thoughts and choices may be influenced more than we realize. The ego fiercely defends the idea, these are my thoughts. Yet ACIM repeatedly encourages us to examine where thoughts originate. Many thoughts simply arise from conditioning, cultural conditioning, family conditioning, political conditioning, personal history. The Course's practice is not to defend these thoughts, but to question them. A thought is not true merely because it appears in the mind. The Holy Spirit becomes the inner teacher who helps distinguish truth from conditioned thinking. Fear as a tool. The documentary repeatedly shows how fear is one of the most effective mechanisms for influencing behavior. Fear generates engagement. Fear generates reactions. Fear generates loyalty to narratives. The ego understands this perfectly. Fear is the ego's primary currency. Whenever fear dominates perception, critical awareness diminishes. The mind becomes easier to direct. Teaches that every thought system is ultimately founded either upon fear or upon love. The film demonstrates what happens when fear becomes the organizing principle of perception. HESH, identity construction. The documentary reveals how digital profiles are built from countless fragments of information. A virtual identity is assembled from clicks, purchases, likes, searches, and habits. This mirrors the ego's construction of identity. The ego assembles a self-image from memories, achievements, failures, preferences, roles, opinions, personal history. Then it declares, "This is who I am." The Course gently challenges that conclusion. What if all those fragments are merely descriptions? What if the self remains untouched beneath them? The real hack. From an ACIM perspective, the greatest hack did not begin with technology. The original hack was the belief in separation. Once the mind accepted the belief that it was separate from God, it became vulnerable to countless secondary illusions: fear, scarcity, competition, victimhood, specialness. The ego's entire system depends upon maintaining identification with those illusions. The documentary exposes one layer of manipulation. The Course points toward the deeper one. The central reflection. The ego watches the great hack and asks, who is manipulating society? The Holy Spirit watches the great hack and asks, what beliefs am I allowing to manipulate my perception? Viewed through ACM, the documentary is less about technology and more about awareness. It becomes an invitation to examine the filters through which reality is perceived. The deepest freedom is not merely freedom from external manipulation. It is freedom from identification with the thought system that can be manipulated. The deepest message may be, no algorithm can define what God created. No profile can capture your reality. Beyond every constructed identity remains the self that was created by God, whole, free, and forever beyond the reach of the world's programming. Go to mwge.org to find full movie and commentary by David Hoffmeister.